4 years later, research confirms working from home makes us happier. Grock AI's white genocide claims are blamed on unauthorized code modifications. AI may be the biggest reason that programmers and software engineers are the targets in Microsoft's recent staff reduction. Welcome to Hashtag Trending. I'm your host, Jim Love. Let's get into it. After close to 5 years of study, researchers have reached a clear conclusion. Working from home significantly boosts happiness. The findings highlight the benefit of remote work, including better sleep, reduced commuting time, and improved work-life balance. An Australian study initiated before the COVID-19 pandemic found that remote workers sleep an average of 30 minutes more per night and save approximately 4.5 hours per week by eliminating commuting. This extra time is often reallocated to work, family, and leisure activities, contributing to healthier lifestyles and increased job satisfaction. The finding that work from home led to healthier lifestyles runs counter to what some of us might have actually experienced with the kitchen beside our work area. But the study found that while in the initial stages of telework there might be a tendency to overindulge in food and even alcohol, over time, the overall trend leads towards healthier choices. But while remote work offers numerous advantages, it's not without its challenges. Gallup's State of the Global Workplace reveals that fully remote workers are more engaged, about 31% more, than their hybrid, 23%, or on-site counterparts with the low score of 19%. The study also called into question the big recent objection about productivity levels for teleworkers. While some managers and even CEOs have expressed fears about a drop in performance when there's no direct supervision, the Australian study suggests that performance and productivity are maintained and might even be improved for those who work from home. There is a distinction, however, between when work from home is imposed versus when it's chosen. When it's imposed, as in the COVID-19 lockdown, or if the company insisted you work from home, the study found that mental health and well-being can actually suffer. But when employees choose to work from home, their well-being tends to improve significantly, particularly when they have support from their colleagues and company. Elon Musk's AI chatbot Grok went off script last week, and it began replying to unrelated tweets with conspiracy-laden claims about white genocide, leading some to speculate that perhaps XAI had learned this from tweets from Donald Trump or others who have quoted these debunked claims. But XAI said it has identified the real cause, unauthorized code that bypassed the company's internal guardrails. Users began noticing Grok's response referencing a debunked far-right conspiracy theory, often in reply to unrelated posts like photos of pets or tech questions. Grok responded with unrelated and false claims about racially motivated attacks against white South Africans. After this occurred, there were other stories about Grok engaging in Holocaust denial. After the public backlash, Musk's AI company XAI acknowledged the error, and engineers discovered that the offending responses were the result of what they termed unauthorized behavior injections, an internal prompt manipulation that let Grok bypass its safety checks. This isn't Grok's first brush with controversy, but it's one of the most serious. The bot is integrated into X, formerly Twitter, giving it wide visibility, and the incident reignites concerns over the reliability of large language models, especially ones deployed publicly with limited oversight. XAI said it has removed the rogue behavior and reinforced its content moderation systems. A company spokesperson said they're improving auditing processes to detect unauthorized prompt changes and are conducting a full review of how Grok's output is monitored. While these are welcome controls, it's hard to imagine how a critical system with this size and scope could have such lackadaisical controls in areas that could affect its basic functions on such a wide scale. And if changing the behavior of the model is so easily done without the ability to trace its source, it makes you wonder how well these models are protected against more sophisticated attacks. We know that AI systems can go off track, but this is no single hallucination, and it could have a big impact on public trust for a global platform. And when we consider the way that agents that can act in the real world are being introduced, it's an additional reason to think carefully about how these models should be protected. President Donald Trump is expected to sign the Take It Down Act today, requiring online platforms to remove revenge porn and AI-generated deep-fake nudes within 48 hours of a victim's report or face major penalties. The new law, which goes into effect in 2026, targets both real and synthetic non-consensual intimate imagery, NCII, including deep fakes. It imposes stricter penalties for violations involving minors, responding to a surge in AI-generated fake images shared without consent, even of victims who never took compromising photos. Supporters call the 48-hour removal rule a breakthrough for victim protection, but critics warn it could lead to censorship and may incentivize platforms to break encryption to avoid liability. The law does not explicitly exempt private or encrypted messages, raising some privacy concerns. But victims say the process of removing images is still overwhelming. It just never ends, said deepfake victim Sabrina Javellana, who spent months reporting content that kept reappearing. Advocacy groups warn that forcing victims to track and report their own abuse across platforms can increase trauma and isolation. And while the law creates consistency, it also gives platforms a full year to comply, a delay that means harmful content can keep circulating in the meantime. The law does mark the U.S.'s first major federal action on deepfake and revenge porn, offering hope for deterrence and clearer accountability. Whether the 48-hour rule proves fast enough or survives legal challenges remains to be seen. And weeks after Microsoft's CEO revealed that Microsoft is generating about 30% of its code using AI, the company laid off about 6,000 employees globally, representing nearly 3% of its workforce. This is one of the company's largest job reductions in recent years. And it turns out that software engineers were the hardest hit group, with over 40% of the layoffs in Washington state affecting software development roles. Product managers, applied scientists, and other technical roles were also affected. And ironically, even AI leadership was not immune. The director of AI for Microsoft for Startups was reportedly among those laid off. The layoffs are widely interpreted as a sign of Microsoft's shift towards integrating AI more deeply into its software development processes, which is prompting a reevaluation of traditional roles like programmer and even project managers. However, Microsoft has not explicitly stated that the layoffs were directly caused by AI replacing coding jobs. Officially, the company describes the cuts as part of a broader effort to streamline management and restructure for efficiency, blah, blah, blah. Still, the timing and affected roles strongly suggest that the rise of AI in coding is influencing workforce decisions. And if 30% of code is being generated, it makes you wonder just how far these cuts will go as Microsoft gets better and better at using AI tools. And that's our show for today. Hope you had a great long weekend. We got a great response to our story about talking about AI to our friends. Love to hear your stories about this. Reach me at editorial@technewsday.ca or on LinkedIn, or if you're watching on YouTube, well, you know what to do. Comment under the video. I'm your host, Jim Love. Have a terrific Tuesday.